Hello, my name is Toni Fay, and I am honored to be included in the History Makers Archive. I was selected as a history maker because of my career crossover from leadership positions in government and the not-for-profit sectors to achievements as the first corporate officer at Time Warner, once the largest media and entertainment company in the world. I would not have been as prepared or as confident in standing my ground in corporate America as an authentically Black executive driving the advancement of Black businesses, organizations, and people if it were not for the encouragement and support of another history maker and my mentor, Dr. Dorothy Irene Height. Often forgotten in the annals of the civil rights movement, Dr. Height was president of the National Council of Negro Women for 4 decades and up until her death in 2010. She was a social worker and freedom fighter for racial justice. In the 60s, as an executive at the YWCA of America, she spearheaded and convinced the association to adopt its #1 imperative: the elimination of racism by any means necessary. She was the only woman in the room or on the stage where it happened as one of the big 6 leaders of the civil rights movement, whether at the podium of the 1968 March on Washington, having the NCNW serve as the secretariat to SNCC until they could achieve their not-for-profit status from the IRS, and always working diligently to help draft the Voting Rights Act and Civil Rights Act, as well as organizing the grassroots for its passage. She was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom from President Bill Clinton and the Congressional Gold Medal at the Capitol Rotunda during the George Bush years, Bush #1, for her service to this country. Dr. Height was my boss at the National Council of Negro Women in the late 70s, where I served as her director of fundraising and programs, and later served on her board of directors during the time when she spearheaded the purchase of a building to house its national headquarters. This was the first building owned by Black people on Pennsylvania Avenue, just 6 blocks from the White House. We even had our own bleachers during inaugural time. This book is Dr. Height's memoir. It's entitled Open Wide the Freedom Gates. It was published in 2003. Read it again, particularly during these times of the Me Too and Black Lives Matter movements and the assault on voting rights. You'll learn a lot about Dr. Height's approach to organizing, to being an activist, to being an advisor to presidents, and a mentor to many. She also was commemorated with this forever stamp that was issued in 2017. It was the 40th stamp issued in the Black Heritage series of the U.S. Postal Service and is still available. I was so touched by attending the commemorative issuance of the Presidential Medal of Freedom that I think it's important that you hear the actual citation now. Please listen.
The President of the United States of America awards this Presidential Medal of Freedom to Dorothy Irene Height. Dorothy Height has spent a lifetime providing leadership in the struggle to make the promise of equality a reality for people around the world. Beginning as a civil rights advocate in the 1930s, she soon gained prominence through her tireless efforts to promote interracial schooling, to register and educate voters, and to increase the visibility and status of women in our society. She has labored to provide hope for inner city children and their families, and she can claim responsibility for many of the advances made by women and African Americans over the course of this century. For helping our nation to more accurately reflect the noble principles on which it was founded, we honor Dorothy Height. William J. Clinton, the White House, Washington, D.C., August 8, 1994.
Thank you for that reading. So I say let's remember and say her name, Dorothy Irene Height, and thank you, History Makers, for letting me speak about my hero and mentor.